Hello and welcome everybody to Footy Judge Mode. This is your daily views, but it's in the evening here. It's 7 p.m. for some of us here, morning for other people. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Good afternoon. I'm here joined by a great panel. We're going to have a great show for you. We'll talk Man United, Chelsea. Is it time for them to wake up? Ange Postecoglou, defense crisis, of course. And Liverpool lost today. Should you look more into that or not? But I'm here joined by Guni, of course. The Chelsea, of course, guy. Man knows football in the description. Welcome, Guni. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, man, it's good to be back on the show. Thank you for having me here again. And definitely going to be an interesting discussion, bruv. I've got, as you know, keep it real at all times. So, yeah, man, I'm looking forward to this conversation, fam.
Yeah, and Will Stewart, of course. Will is here. Well, 365 from Tottenham away, of course, to talk everything Spurs. Thank you, everybody that joined us. Make sure to hit that like button. Get us to 50 likes out of the bat, 60 people. We just even didn't hit like 2 minutes in. So get us to 50 likes, of course. Well, welcome. I've seen your show this morning with the guys. Enjoyment, entertaining, everything in there.
Yeah, it's been a busy season so far for Tottenham as far as streaming is concerned. We're getting pulled in all over the place, but I love to do it. You either love me or you hate me, and nobody's really in between. I see your guys' comments on most channel.
Yeah,
bring that American back on here again.
Yeah, but listen,
good, though. I love it.
Last but not least, listen, this guy, for people who don't know in the chat, is the one that actually made me a content creator. I was never a content creator. I never spoken in front of people before. This guy told me, do you want to do a fan cam? I recorded a 2-minute video, and a journey started from there. He gave me his platform, gave me the keys to his world, and gave me everything that I know in the beginning in the content creation world. He taught me how to write articles. He taught me how to stream. He taught me how to do StreamYard. He taught me how to do everything from the beginning. It's Anthony from Interworldwide. He's a Manchester United fan for 20 years, by the way. But this is the guy that everybody is saying, who got you into the content creator? It's this guy. It's this guy. Welcome, Anthony. Your debut on the channel.
It's an honor and a pleasure and a privilege to be here. Before anything, congratulations to you. I could not be prouder of you, my brother. For those that don't know, I'm in Sydney, Australia, 26,000 kilometers or miles away, something else, whatever you want to use the metric system wise. But funny enough, Mo's fan cam that he sent to me that day was so good that I actually saved it into a separate folder, uploaded the rest, and he messaged me after the game going, Anthony, what can I improve on because you didn't upload my fan cam? And I'm like, oh, crap. The only reason I didn't do that, bro, is because it was so goddamn good. I put it into a separate folder to share with a couple of people. But I couldn't be prouder of the way you're doing your thing. I watch your show all the time, and great to see you linking up with so many people. So it's a pleasure to be here, man. And just for the record, it's 26 years as a Manchester United fan, bro. This was the jersey that I got from my godfather when he came back from his honeymoon in 1999. And it all just started from there. But for anyone, my blood does run through all the way to the black and blue side of Milano only. So, sempre Forza Inter. Have to start in there.
Yeah. Happy to be here. Let's talk, people. Let me get the first super chat out of the way. Anthony Lefleur, big up Mo, Anthony and Will, and Guni, of course. He didn't know that Guni is going to be. Also, big up to Guni. Oh, and his club for sending Ruben and Pulisic to my Milan club, our two best signings over the summer, and both played part in our win versus PSG. Thank you, Anthony, for the support. Make sure to hit that like button, people. And let's start. And I want to start with one place only, Manchester United. And I'm going to start with Anthony.
Can I get something out of the way real quick first? Just real quick. It won't take very long.
Yes.
Anthony, you have got the greatest player's shirt to ever kick a ball right behind you. The greatest. And you already know which one I'm talking about. You looked right at it. R9, man. R9, that's my guy.
260 AUD shipped in from Melbourne from a guy I know. I've never put down $260 so quickly in my life, man. I was looking for that kit that year, that exact one, for about 5-6 seasons. And when it became available,
mate.
Oh, man.
Sorry about that, Mo. You already know my thing with R9. Anytime I see it, I have to say something.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah. R9 is my favorite player of all time. He is the reason why I supported Inter, him and Roberto Baggio in 98. Listen, another super chat support. JJ Ash is saying, big up Mo, the professor. one of the wisest and realest out there on YouTube football channels. Big up your guests too. Smash the likes and show your support, everyone. And come on, you gooners, he's saying. Of course, I'm allowed to say that because I'm a neutral.
I don't know about that
Premier League.
last part, but everything
I'm
else
a
sounded
neutral.
good.
I can say whatever the heck I want. Listen, let's talk Manchester United. Absolutely abysmal. However, people want to talk about the red card. I've said my piece about the red card. I believe it's a red card. There's no question about it. But moving on from the red card, how can a team capitulate like this 2-0 up? I don't care if you're not playing against Man City. You aren't playing against Arsenal. I'm sorry, this is not PSG. It's not Real Madrid. You're playing against Copenhagen. With all due respect, how do you lose by 10 men, 2-0 up? How do you lose, Anthony? It's Ten Hag, players. What is it?
There has been a mental depletion in this club for a long time. I think that's the clearest thing that anybody will know when you have such a prominent figure walk out, and all the evidence over the last decade has suggested that he was also the glue holding all of the cracks together. The Rashford challenge, in my opinion, I don't know how people can debate it as not a red in this day and age of football, but at the same time, this team is always one small mistake away from capitulating. It has looked mentally weak to me for a long time. I wouldn't even say it's a 1 step forward, 2 steps back. It's almost like a millimeter forward, 3 giant leaps back every single time any progress is made. To focus just on the 90 plus minutes against Fisherman FC, with all due respect, Copenhagen, they're a big time team in Denmark, but this is the team that Manchester United needs to get 6 points against in this group. And at 2-0 up, just before the half-hour mark, I was still skeptical, of course, but you think to yourself, this Manchester United team has more than enough experience in that 11 on the field to get through, and then the capitulation happens. I actually know a Manchester United fan that decided to walk his daughter to school at 2-0, 5 minutes that way, 5 minutes back, and the voice message he sent me when he got home, let's just say it's not for air, it's not for children whatsoever. He was livid. He could not believe what had happened in such a short amount of time. What players are left in this squad that you can trust? What players are left in this squad that you can bank on? I'm not a conspiracy theorist to a degree that I think players intentionally get managers sacked, but I'm seeing a lot of players out there that are just not in it.
What?
Head, heart, legs, all of the above. And we can talk about transfers and whatever you want, but you got to understand, I live in Sydney, Australia. I don't live in Manchester. I don't live in England. So when I hear this fan base of Manchester United fans, and I could be the odd one out here, but let me know if I'm wrong, all they do is seem to complain about the lack of direction, but they don't seem to be complaining when the club drops multi-$100 million every single market to try and fix things on the pitch. There's something fundamentally wrong here, and there's no player that's going to fix it. And I was adamant about that a good 3 years ago, and it's still the same now. How does Manchester United turn this around? Your guess is as good as mine, bro. I don't think the manager needs to be sacked today, but at the same time, I don't see a way back for him. So proper purgatory here.
I actually think he should get sacked just to improve the results in the short term, even an interim. I don't know what about Will Gooney, chime in, please, because this Manchester United thing has been, because they played very good 20 minutes in the beginning. It's the best 20 minutes I've seen this season. And then it turned into shit, like complete surrender to the situation. Head down. Yeah, it's all right. You can run around, but I don't know. Like, just someone tell me, someone give me an answer for this. Please do.
The floor is yours, Will. I'll let you go first on this one.
I don't really have an answer. To comment on the game, I thought that they played really well in the first 10 to 15 minutes, and then Copenhagen started to kind of jump in there around 25, 30 minutes. It seems like there was a little bit of a momentum shift there even before the red card. They seem to be coming into Manchester United's half and putting a lot of pressure on them. The red card, I don't think it was a red card. In today's game, they're giving it
We
as red
know
card.
why. We know why, but fine.
Yeah, because it wasn't a tackle or a challenge, right? Law 12.3.
Yeah, we know why.
But
because if you say that red card, we'll come back to the Romero one, and then you're gonna have to debate it again.
no. It's a completely different situation.
All right.
But yeah, the same principles applies.
Okay. I have
Um,
to put that out there. It's fine. It's all right.
But nowadays they give red cards for feelings instead of the law. So what are you gonna do? I mean, that's the same way that I feel about the Tottenham one. I mean, it's true. Go back and look at the Sun red card against Chelsea on Gomez. Doesn't even touch him Gomez plants his leg, snaps his ankle. Red card, right? Because he got injured. It wasn't because he actually did anything. They even had VAR at that time. Didn't do nothing. You know, I mean, they give cards now for feelings, not for actual breaking the law. So, I mean, what are you going to do? But after that, you've already got a 2-goal lead, right? And then right after the back to back, they can see 2 goals. You know, levels it out. There's controversy about the pen, whether it should have been a pen or not a pen. I don't know about that particular one, but then
I think the Man United one shouldn't be, like the one against Manchester United shouldn't be a penalty. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
But the other one, based on the rules, if I'm looking at the Ericsson one that was given against Bayern Munich, it's exact same one. So I would say yes, it's a penalty. But the other one is not. That's what I think. That's my opinion.
And then the second half, it was just Copenhagen all day. Like, I don't know what Manchester United was doing in that second half. Other than the first 5 minutes of the second half, the rest of that was just boom, Copenhagen the entire time. You might as well just blow the final whistle right then and there. Like, they didn't get into the game at all. There was when they had the pen, and that was it. That attack that led to the pen, and that was like one of the only attacks that I can remember in the entire second half.
So moving on, forget the game. They lost the game. They lost their head. Moving on, Goonie. How does Man United get back, at least in the short term? I know the long term, the Glazers, people just like to say that. Short term, you need the players' value, because I keep saying that the assets are the players. It's not the manager. It's nothing. It's only the players. You need to keep your assets saved. You need to save your assets. In the short term, do you think the manager should go and get someone for a new manager bounce to save this season, or do you think there's a comeback for this manager?
Well, the wheels have fallen off for a while now, and to be honest with you, I've said it for a while that he's clearly lost the dressing room. How he's handled certain players in certain situations has definitely not helped him. And I also think, you know, the Manchester United board themselves haven't really backed their manager as much as they should in certain circumstances. So it's just a rule that everyone knows. Once you lose the dressing room, number one, it's almost impossible to get it back. And number two, once that happens, you're better off just going. And I think that's the situation that Manchester United are in at the minute. So, you know, whether you want to sack the manager or not, based on that, he's got to go anyway. At the moment, who's available? Hansi Flick is available. That's a manager who I would say has more pedigree than Erik ten Hag. But it's just the conundrum that United have now is just how the club has been managed and everything that's gone on over the past, you know, I'd say towards the end of last season till now. Will he want to take the position? So, yeah. So to answer your question, I think he needs to go, to tell you the truth.
I agree with you completely. Kyriakos here is with a big donation, a good donation. Big up the panel, Mo. Keep up the grind, man. Goonie, great to see you on the stream. It was a pleasure meeting you and Matisse at the Big Six meetup. Oh, you met this person?
Yes. Unfortunately, Kyriakos, I met a lot of people, but big up yourself. So I can't remember you by face. But yeah, man, it must have been a good experience because I had good vibes of everybody there, man.
Thank you, Kyriakos, for the support for the channel. Thank you for everybody that's sending super chats. Of course, JJ Ash with not super chats. United could not cope in Hagen. United soon a bedtime story to be read to children for bedtime of what was once a top club. Oh, and please beat Luton 1-0 in the 98th minute and Erik ten Hag on the wheel forever. That's what everybody's saying. That Man United. This fantastic super chat, actually.
Are we playing Luton this weekend?
Yes.
Oh, well, there's your D-Day right there. It's either 3 points or man walks. It has to be. You don't not if you get nothing or a point from Luton, Ten Hag has to walk.
No, forget that. What about, and I want to get there. Why do people say Man United win again? And then I hear they're back. They're back. I heard that. We heard that. You heard that, people. It's just a small dig, but it's fine. Listen, the last thing about Man United is that I don't think this Luton game should matter. You win, you lose, it shouldn't matter, because this notion of when he wins 1-0 or 2-1 or even 2-0 or 3-0 against Luton should be a measuring stick. I think that's the wrong thing. It shouldn't be. This is Luton. You should beat Luton no matter what. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm sorry for everybody that says that, yeah, he's going to beat Luton and he's going to stay. The Man United should take the action. You should just make the decision, fire the guy, get somebody else. This is how I feel it is. Thank you, JJ, for the support, for the super chat. I really appreciate everything. Listen, The players, though, I want to get Anthony's last thing about their players. Who do you think should stay at Man United next season from the big ones?
Oof, well, I'm struggling to really care, man, if I'm to be honest, because when I look at the caliber of player that has come into Manchester United and either underperformed or disappointed, I don't have enough time to run through the list of names. So there is not a player on this squad that would bother me if they left, from goalkeeper all the way up top. I've never thought and I have never said that Marcus Rashford will be a world-class player at any point in his career, as I just genuinely feel as though his skill set is limited. His skill set is limited. I don't think that there is a player on this team at the moment that you could get rid of that I would be disappointed. And that includes everybody from Casemiro, because he doesn't want to be there, even though he's my favorite player, not just for Manchester United. He's my favorite player there at the moment, but because of the way he plays and his career at Real Madrid, he's the type of footballer that I've always liked. Sorry, Mo, I don't have an answer for you. Everybody can leave. I don't, except for Rasmus Højlund, and that's. It's unfortunate that his name didn't come up in my head right now, because that's pretty much a reflection of Manchester United at the moment, where I can't even give him the props that he's due and the benefit of the doubt that he needs. But almost everybody can go, man. Like, who are you gonna tell me that has to stay in this side? And I know it's unrealistic to say everybody has to go, but that's my feelings of.
Well, Chelsea did it. It's all right. You can do it. Chelsea did it. It can be done.
That's surprising because
Yeah,
even
they did it. Yeah, Goonie, you guys did it.
Get rid of everyone.
Hey, people.
it's surprising though, because even in our darkest days under Conte, there was at least 4 or 5 players I would say I want to keep. Right, Kane,
Yeah.
Son.
He's exaggerating. There are
No,
some
I'm not.
players. Lisandro Martinez can stay. Come
Yeah,
on.
Martinez. Yeah, Lisandro
Højlund
Martinez.
can stay.
Well,
say him.
how many games is Martinez playing at the moment?
He hasn't played a
He's
game
out
this
injured, right?
season.
I understand that he's injured.
Onana
but he's
should
going to
stay.
be
Come on,
recurring
Anthony.
thing.
You know better than anybody that Onana's a good goalkeeper. Come on, don't be a
I
bitter.
can give you 50.
Don't be a bitter. You're an Inter. Oh
It's
my
a tough
God,
one for you to
come
be in, isn't it? Inter,
on. Very tough
Onana,
for
Man
him.
United,
Come on,
Onana.
don't do that.
I can give you 57 million reasons why it's okay that he's not at Inter anymore. But look, I do feel sorry for him at the end of the day. When you look at the way Inter and Serie A plays, to ask what he's have to doing at Manchester United, it's a little bit unfair.
He's making the money, bro. He's making.
That's it.
He's
So
making good money.
I love that comment from Paula. Sancho can stay too. That's funny, man. From what I've read, the guy is not even allowed into the training ground at the moment, which is absolutely bizarre. So
yeah,
sorry, there's no one else that I can think of.
I want to move on to Chelsea because it's a pleasure to have Goonie here, and he gives you the real answer, right? I know you don't want to talk about Chelsea. I know you don't want to. I've seen you stream with Uganda this morning, and he didn't want to talk about it. He's just like he tried to deflect it because it's sad. However, you want to go to Spurs to one. Listen, before we go on, welcome everybody that joins from Staffy TV. Thank you everybody that joined us. Make sure to hit that like button. Get us to 200 likes as soon as you can. Big up Staffy TV. Big up the people that come from the Manchester United therapy with Staffy and Michael Griggs, of course. Thank you everybody that joined us. Hit that like button, of course. Goonie, Chelsea, when are you going to wake up? You look all right. I've been saying it from the beginning of the season. Chelsea look all right. You're not scoring goals, but you look all right, right? I'm not expecting you to battle Manchester City or Liverpool or Arsenal, right? Or Spurs, but you won 4-1 against Spurs under the circumstances. But you look all right. You're not Manchester United. But when is it coming? When do you think the results are coming?
Yeah, bruv. It's where we're at the moment. It's kind of hard to tell now. Listen, thinking about this weekend's game makes me sick to my stomach, because it's like I said, the Tottenham game, regardless of what other Chelsea fans think, it's a false image, mate. Absolute false image. That is not a marker for me to let me know whether we have improved tangibly. 9 men Spurs against an 11 men Chelsea, that is not a barometer to judge. Yeah, and I'm sure you lot can understand why I'm saying that. This weekend, right? This is why I've been saying what I'm saying. This weekend is going to be the real test, right? If we can somehow get through that game unscathed, then I might entertain the talk. Because there's still a few hurdles that Chelsea are going to have to go over before I'm sold, right? Obviously, for obvious reasons, Manchester City, the team that they are off the back of a treble, and just purely from the squad that they've got, they're going to be a very difficult team to beat. However, that doesn't mean that we have to go there. We have to be at home and lose 5-6-0. It doesn't. It doesn't. So I've just got to see the performance this week, man. Honestly, like I'm just taking it one game at a time. But right now, I'm not overly sold at the minute. It takes a while for me to be convinced by something. I've had so many experiences in football where I've jumped the gun too quickly and it's burnt me. So I've now learned how to take time.
Pochettino's got a pretty decent record against Man City, though. So you've got that, at least with Tottenham. But how does it make you feel that for every point you gain in the next 3 weeks, you help us out?
Sick to my stomach, mate. Absolutely, yeah. It's one of those ones, brother. But to be honest, I can't look at it like that. I can't look at other teams around us. I've just got to really focus on Chelsea and just improvements, man. You know, I'm tired of hovering from the bottom half of the table to the top half of the table, back to the bottom, back to the top. There's got to be some kind of consistency coming along the line. Now, we've kind of gone through a gauntlet of fire. Obviously, we played Arsenal. We've played Spurs. We got embarrassed by Brentford. You know, now we're going to be playing Manchester City this weekend. And really, like, we've done better than I actually thought. We didn't lose to Arsenal. We didn't lose to we didn't lose to Liverpool either. So some of the top teams that we've played, we've actually done all right against. In fact, I'm quite disappointed about
You didn't lose to Liverpool. You didn't lose to Arsenal. You beat Spurs. Who did you lose to then from the top 6?
No one.
No one.
All right, then. Chelsea, fine, people. You heard it here first.
But hold on. This is the thing. It's styles make fights, though, Mo. You understand? Styles make fights. These are teams that we're talking about. They all play on the front foot, which kind of plays more to our advantage. It's like I was saying to you before about the Spurs game.
Man City.
Yeah, so this is what I'm saying. If Man City play on the front foot, but this is my concern is Man City are clinical. And these guys are able to keep possession and literally just suffocate you. So it's going to be it's going to be the same test, but it's going to be at an extreme level, in my opinion. So every opportunity that we get, we've got to make it count because, you know, this is a City team that are capable of scoring 6, 7, 8 goals if they want to. You understand? So it's not as easy as that. We've got to see with Man City.
But you got to be looking at it because if you do weather these next 3 to 4 weeks, I mean, I'm throwing Manchester United in there's a bit tough. That's how you got 4 weeks out. If you do weather the storm, your December looks pretty soft, right? So you can go on a pretty decent run in the middle of the season when some of Arsenal's, Tottenham, I think even City have a fairly difficult December, right? So you could gain some ground if you can weather the next 3 to 4 games.
That's the hypothesis.
Does he know we're talking about Chelsea? That Chelsea don't beat the teams that sit back.
Exactly.
Does he know? Does he? He doesn't know.
That's my point.
I know why he doesn't know because his team didn't sit back. So yeah, I know that.
Look, just because they haven't beat teams that sit back before doesn't mean they won't beat teams that sit back in the future.
What's the history? Okay, so we look at the recent history to learn the future, to try to predict the future. Nobody sees the future. Looking at how Chelsea played football, the only 2 teams that they beat where they had more position than them is Luton and Burnley. Every other team they beat, right? They didn't have the majority of the position. Chelsea don't know how to break teams. They just don't. For some reason, they're not clinical. They have all the position. Enzo, Caicedo, it looks good, you know, but comes in front of the goal, they just lose their head. This is the reality of Chelsea, right? This is what happens. So again, it's
reality, but they're working to fix that, right? Like Pochettino is going to be working with him in training to not do that because they are creating the chances.
The question, well, do we really know if he's working on that? Are they more clinical now? He still plays Jackson every game.
Right, but I mean, they're scoring more and more frequently.
Last game, he still played Jackson, and Jackson was shit.
Right, but what I'm saying is they're scoring more and more frequently over the past 3 to 4 weeks than they were the 3 to 4 weeks before that, right? So they're obviously making improvements, right? They went a whole month without scoring a single goal, right, in September, right? So then they scored 6, and now they're scoring. You know, they're definitely, you can see there's a progression there. They're working on it, and each game is an independent statistical event, right? Just because something happened last week doesn't mean it'll happen next week. Mm-hmm. Right. That's the fallacy of history, right? History can, right, give you insight into what can happen in the future, but it's not a guarantee. I just think what I see from Chelsea right now, what I don't see from Manchester United is a progression.
A plan.
There's still bumps in the road. Maybe they may still fall off and lose to a team that they shouldn't, right? But there's still over time, when you look at it over 3 to 4 to 5 weeks, there is a progression, an upward trajectory, if you will.
Yeah.
And I don't
Anthony,
even like Chelsea, so I'm not being biased
I
here.
never hated them, but fine. Anthony, how do you see Chelsea's situation at the moment with all the money coming from an Inter fan of a Serie A fan? How do you see Chelsea with all the money in the world? Tell the people.
Well, if you're cooping 120 million just from Havertz and Mason Mount, things are going to be okay on the books, no matter what. And then it's everybody else's problem. But now I'll definitely have to agree with what Will said. There's an element of patience at Chelsea, which I think sort of takes the monkey off the shoulder a little bit. Just that little bit of time and that little bit of pedigree that Pochettino built at Spurs. I know it's not galactic, but there is a plan in place because there is an element of trust and patience. And the depth is there for Pochettino to try new things and for his team to try new things. And they are starting to see what's working and prioritizing that and see what's not working. And they'll make decisions about that, hard decisions as well. Manchester United don't know what's working. They don't know what's not working. And they've got no idea how to fix it, how to remedy it. There's no plan there. I think that this season for Chelsea was always about building for next season and onwards. You got no European football, no external pressure. Just get yourself solid in the Premier League. Hustle for one of those top 4 spots, and things will be gravy and gold by the next season, I think, for Chelsea. I don't see Chelsea's problems now existing into the future of next season. I feel like they do have plenty of issues, but they're confronting them head on in the right way. And I think that when they have a couple of players return from injury as well, they are going to be very hard to get points off in the second half of the season. Whereas Manchester United, if we're going to keep contextually comparing Chelsea to us, we're probably going to end up finishing 3rd in our Champions League group, which is worse than finishing 4th in the position that we're in at the moment. And we're going to have an extra game a week on a Thursday night. So I foresee a struggle in many different departments in my club as opposed to Chelsea's on the books, on the field, off the pitch, all of the above.
Have you ever seen a more positive stream going about Chelsea in recent history?
Never in my life.
No, actually, but to be fair, like I got
They
sick.
present good points, though.
I got sick and tired of listening to a lot of Chelsea stuff. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just been an all round just depression. I'm walking, you know, them old school cartoons when the cartoon characters are walking around with the cloud and it's just thunder and rain. That's how I've been feeling like. So like everything outside of match day, I've just really just been trying to avoid it. But obviously because of the nature of what we're doing, I have to. You know what I mean? So
listen, for me, Chelsea, they always had a plan. Pochettino is a good coach. The question is he the one to take them over the line? That is yet to be seen. I wasn't convinced because he built a good team at Spurs. Yeah, lost the Champions League final based on a small margin and a penalty that should have been given. But Liverpool were the better team. At that time, they were the better team, in my opinion. I think Chelsea invested good money in some very, very good players, the likes of Enzo, the likes of Caicedo, Lavia, Badiashile, which is I love Badiashile. I think he's a top-notch player, in my opinion.
Mhm.
I actually think Reece James is good. Malagusto is great. I am actually a big advocate of Jackson because I think he has the fundamentals to be a good striker. But at the moment, wait, just give me a second. He has the fundamentals to be a good forward. The problem is he lost every confidence and every bit. He runs well, passes the ball well. The problem is in front of the goal, he's a little bit reckless, right? But he strikes the ball very well. More other forwards, without mentioning names in the league, they can't pass or strike or run as good as him with the ball. For some reason, he's not firing. For whatever reason, every time I'm watching the guy, his head is down, he's disappointed and frustrated. For whatever reason that is. I don't know what it is. One glimpse of Jackson is against Burnley inside the 18 when he received the ball, dribbled and finished brilliantly. I'm saying now he should be taken out of the firing line, but he keeps playing him and people keep making fun of him. The media, he scored the hat-trick. They called it the worst hat-trick in the history of the Premier League. They literally said that in the paper. They literally. So how do you be a player, professional football player, and you read the paper the next day and this is the worst hat-trick in the history of the Premier League? Your confidence is shattered. And he's a young player in a club that bought a lot of young players as well. That's my opinion about him. That Cole Palmer is a good signing. One player that, in my opinion, and Guni, I want to get your opinion on this before we move on. I actually don't think Raheem Sterling is the guy to take you to the next level. The reason why, I'll give you my reasons. He's an experienced player without the leadership. Raheem Sterling was never a leader on the pitch.
I agree.
But he has experience. He played in a system of Pep Guardiola that get the best out of you, and instead of showing your flaws, it hides your flaws. Against Chelsea, he's up and down all the time because the system isn't made for someone like Raheem Sterling to shine, right? And I think that Raheem Sterling should have been sold and got somebody else, but you bought a lot of players. But I think having no experience in the front line hurts you sometimes. When you need a goal, most of the clubs turn into the experienced forward. But Raheem Sterling isn't a leader. And I think they rely so much on him, but he isn't that guy for Chelsea. Do you agree or you see it differently?
At the beginning of the season, I did feel similar to that, but I think his experience so far this season has shone through because he has been one of our better performers, if I'm honest. But to me, there's no coincidence that once again, since Cole Palmer's come in, that he has had a bit of an improvement. You see, what Sterling does very well and what he did great at Manchester City is he relied on the service of players like Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva and these guys. All Sterling had to do was get on that wing or cut inside and just find himself in the right positions, which he did time and time again. And if you notice what's going on at Chelsea, he's doing the same thing now. He's finding himself on those wide positions. He's isolating his fullbacks. He's getting inside the box. He's a constant threat because the delivery and the service is there for him. So in terms of that, he's going to be very important for us this season, 100%. In terms of going forward, again, it's like I need to see how the season ends and how Raheem Sterling plays. But what I think is he's going to get goals this season. I think he's going to be key to us ending up in a better position that we're in now. Obviously, I'm not saying he's going to fire us to glory right now. No. But I think his experience is valued in this squad. I'm not going to lie to you. But and it's a bit of a change of tune for me. I'm not going to lie. I was one of those ones that said maybe Raheem Sterling should be sold. He's not doing enough for an experienced player. But right now, I can't complain. I can't complain about him.
Yeah, I agree with you right now. He is the one. I just think that this is, for me, Raheem Sterling has not. He's been consistent for City for some time, but I'm just thinking that, I don't know, like Chelsea with this youth, they need an experienced forward, someone that will tell the people where to be. Listen, people, 250 of you here and not even 150 likes. I think that's embarrassing, especially for Anthony's debut on the channel. So I need 150 likes. I need the likes to go up right now. Stop what you're doing. Close the live chat. Hit that like button, people. A super chat came in here. Enigma saying the Spurs fan argue like a Cowboy fan. No logic. Is that
Spurs fans argue like a Cowboy fan? No logic. You need to look up and read what logic is, my man. Enigma. Which form of logic are we talking about? Classical, modal? What are we doing?
Thank you, Enigma, for the super chat.
Good question.
Very good question, to be honest. Listen, moving on, like Chelsea. Can someone see Chelsea getting any result against Man City? To be honest, just be blunt.
A draw? I think a draw is possible if they fight it nail, tooth and nail.
Wow.
You really
Slight
think
chance.
that?
Is it at the bridge?
It's at the
Slight
bridge.
chance.
It's at the bridge.
bridge. I think they could sneak a draw, but at the same time, it's a foolish prediction in my opinion as well.
I wouldn't put money on it.
I can tell you why it's not
Me
going to
either.
happen. I can tell you exactly why it's not going to happen. We
Go
have
ahead.
we have a massive concentration problem at the back, 100%. And we almost suffered against you guys, Spurs. We almost suffered. Back post, we're leaving players unmarked. Bentancur's header, lack of concentration. Son, that pass that made it to Son, unfortunately for you guys, it didn't score. Lack of concentration once again. If you think we can get away with that City once, twice, or three times, absolutely not. There's no way. We have to be mentally switched on for the entirety of that game. And these guys are yet to show me that they're able to do that on a consistent basis. That's what gets me worried.
Yeah, Doku's recent raise in form too. He's starting to click in that system. That's the guy who I think is the most scary for you guys right now in that City side.
I hope they play him on that left wing, because if they do and he comes up against Reece James, I'll feel a little better. But whoever's playing on that left side, if Doku's on there, oh mate, I don't know. I don't know. We have to see. But then he's not the only threat in this team. This is another thing about Manchester City. They've got threats all over the pitch. And every one of them players most of them players can put the ball in the back of the net or can play a very decisive pass. And this is what I'm concerned about.
So,
but I mean, Pochettino pulled a tactical wonder though against Arsenal, right? Completely changed up the system, kind of nullified Arsenal's back line. Pochettino's a clever guy, so he may got something involved for the City system. You never know. You know that whole Palmer false nine deal, right?
I hope so. Yeah, that's what I would have gone with. Again, I definitely would have gone with the Cole Palmer false nine, and then you're relying on your wingers, which have been doing all right. Well, more so on that right side with Raheem, but like, yeah, man,
It's a scary game, but to be honest with you, Chelsea play well against. But I said City are the only team that even if you play at home and you try to defend, they can break you down. They can break it down. But Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City had a couple of chances, but Arsenal were good. I'm not saying that Chelsea's defense is as good as Arsenal, but I think if you look at Chelsea when they defend, they're one of the best teams when they defend. Compact, not wide open, because Disasi and Thiago Silva both at this moment cannot defend one-on-one. So Chelsea will have to sit back. If Pochettino, someone tells him, yeah, you go press Man City and do this and that, probably will lose on a high score. And I'm afraid that he might try to do that. Anyway, long story short, I think I'll put my money on City to win the game with a 2-goal margin. This is what I would do, at least. Going to Manchester City in a short, because people tell me that I have an agenda here on this channel against Manchester City, even though I say they're clear favorites. So just make it make sense. Of course, does anybody else think that anybody is close to Man City in this league? Close to Man City in this league?
No.
No,
I
not
feel
at the
like
moment.
City. I feel like City's not even trying at the moment, still, bro.
Really?
They're
You
in
think that this
second-
City team is not even in second gear?
Nah, I think
thought-
they've lost a couple. I think they've lost a couple of pieces, and that looks like that's the reason why they've dialed it back a step. But I feel like once they mentally kick into gear in the second half of the season, it's just going to be the same clockwork as we're used to. That's just my opinion.
I got you here. You said they are a little bit weaker than last year. Did you just say that?
I think the hole that Gundogan left is noticeable, but not to a degree where you're going to look at their rivals and say a Gundogan is what bridged the gap, because I think that they are more than that.
Essentially, what you're asking, Mo, is there any other team in the Premier League that we can see going on 13, 14 game unbeaten runs and just continual wins?
Yes,
That's basically
thank
what
you.
you're asking. No, the answer is no.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, for the problem is they have the best manager. I don't want to say in the history, but the best manager that can, in my opinion, Pep Guardiola, and I said it many times, is the best league manager I have ever seen in my life. Nobody creates a system that will beat 16 out of the 19 teams you play like him. Even Sir Alex Ferguson did it, Mourinho did it, Ancelotti. You can name whoever you want. Mourinho did it for a couple of seasons, then it fell apart. Guardiola has been doing it forever. So that's why I'm saying, even if we think they are weaker now, Manchester City will find a way to make it tick and click for 15 games in a row. Where you see them 15 games, win 12, draw 3, league is over, done. You cannot compete. It's done. You can't just. They're looking at everybody in the back mirror. So for me, I see what people are saying. Maybe it's a bit of hope from me, because as a neutral, people think that I'm a neutral, so I don't care who wins the league, but I want to see a competitive league. If Man City win the league this year, what does that say about the Premier League? I watch every game of the Premier League, every single game, more than any other league, right? What does it say about the league if Man City keep winning? It's a testament to how good they are, but it's also how bad the other clubs are catching up. That's my problem here. Like, they're too good, but someone need to catch up to them.
I mean, I think they've raised the level, right? Like, even if you just look at the point totals over the last, 5-6 years compared to the past, people were winning leagues with 78, 80 points, right? Now it's 80, 90 plus you got to hit. That's you've got to almost have a perfect run to even challenge this City side right now. And it's something that's I don't think a lot of teams were prepared to do. The amount of money that you're going to have to spend, the quality of players that you're going to have to buy and bring in, the quality of managers you have to have Pep has raised that bar so high. It just makes it really tough.
You guys know that Antonio Conte with Chelsea 16-17 won 13 games in a row to win the league. Yeah. People forget that. People say that, Pep Guardiola was weak, and he was. But still, Antonio Conte won 13 games. I remember that when he started the season back 4, and then he said, screw that.
Yeah, I mean, we
I'm
finished
going
what
to back
5 or 6 points back on 86 points, and they had what 92, I think, under Conte.
Yeah,
So
like,
yeah.
that's
was
how
that
it
the
is.
season? I'm sorry to interrupt, Goonie. Was that the season where you guys finished 10th, and the next season you won the league?
Yeah, the
Was
season before we finished 10th. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
well,
season.
that's Conte's bread and butter, man. His eyes would have lit up when he saw that there was no Europe there. So that doesn't surprise me one bit. As impressive as it is, I've seen him do that with a team that I don't mention their name on camera because, sorry about that.
And
But
we also had Eden Hazard. We also had Diego Costa. We also had N'Golo Kante.
Yep.
Yeah, we had quality players in that team. Do you know what I mean? So
You also had
And I
David
missed them days.
Luiz, you had Victor Moses, you have Alonso, you had Gary Cahill at the back, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Moses was an absolute animal that
He
season.
made him an
That
animal.
right wing back, that right wing back position.
Yeah.
He was an absolute monster that season.
Yep.
Yeah, but like someone has to break this Pep Guardiola cycle, not because of anything, just because we need to see something else. Like, you know what I mean? Like for me, and I'm not against City. I just say that they're too good. That's my point. I'll move on to Spurs because there's a super chat here that starts with saying Spurs fans still think they will finish above Arsenal.
Yes.
I think they will.
Huh?
I hope they do.
Okay, who said they will? Goonie as well? Okay, elaborate.
Actually, wait, hold on.
Hold on. Go ahead.
I just remembered the amount of injuries they got in their last game, so I'm going to
It's not as
reserve
bad
that
as-
judgment. I'm going to reserve that judgment until I see like the expected return dates of some of those players. So my bad, I spoke too soon.
Yeah, I can tell you, Madison's fine. He's even been called up for England. No problem with James Madison. Van der Ven does not require surgery, so you're looking at a max 12 weeks, right? Maximum of 12 weeks without
3
surgery.
months.
Right, but 2 weeks of that's an international break, right? So, right, you're talking what 4 or 5 games, maybe 6, and that's a maximum, right? So it could be less than that. He's already been pictured and seen walking around off crutches, no tape or anything on his leg. So, the biggest, Dojo will be back after 1 game. And we've got Ashley Phillips coming up, and I know a lot of you guys haven't heard of him before, but Goonie might have. And he's I think he's going to be a good player. I think he's going to fit in. He's athletic. He is technical, and that's what's needed in a Postecoglou
How many
system.
senior games does he have? In his life?
7 or 8.
8 for Blackburn.
With you?
No, with Blackburn.
All right, then. That's your answer. So he's not Messi, is he? So yeah, it's in my opinion. Listen, Romero.
Van der Ven only had like 10 more.
Someone asked me why didn't Spurs challenge that or just?
I don't know why they haven't challenged it yet. I would if I was in charge there. I'm not though.
Hmm.
Can't see what the result would be until they do it. They may have. We don't know. They don't have to report it to the press.
I think we'll see. But to be honest, I am
Not
not.
till Saturday, right? So.
But isn't there a risk of them extending the ban if the appeal gets rejected? Or
I think in some cases there are, in some cases there aren't. I think it just depends on the reason.
I think
and
it's a 2-game ban. If you try to reduce it to 1, it goes to 3. But if it's a violent
think 3 is
conduct,
the max.
3 games, 3 the max. Yeah, they can't give more than 3. Listen, Spurs though, I'm a big advocate for Ange Postecoglou. He's absolutely phenomenal. Not a lot of managers I've seen, apart from probably Antonio Conte, Pep Guardiola, De Zerbi, that can turn a club around in a short span of time. And hats off to him for what he's doing. I said that he made a mistake last game. You can agree or disagree with that, what he did against Chelsea. But the man has proved to us that if you're given the tools and you believe in yourself, you can 100% turn a club around, make the players play better. The best one to talk about him is actually Anthony, because he's an Australian and he can tell us all about him.
This is what he does. He has done this since 1997 when he took over at South Melbourne, which is where he grew up in Australia. He moved here when he was 5 years old from Greece. He has a history of turning clubs around in a short amount of time. He won, we called it the National Soccer League back then, before it was called the A-League, with South Melbourne for the first time in something like 10 years for the club. Took them to the 2000 Oceanic Championships, which was, a huge achievement for that small club in South Melbourne at the time. It wasn't until he basically bombed out with the Young Socceroos, which is the young Australian team. And there was a very famous interview online with one of our famous pundits, Craig Foster, who I've actually met in real life twice before. Such a gentleman, really, really good guy. But that interview, like, it really broke Ange. It got to a point where he thought it actually dented his chances of employment in the field for a long period of time. And it wasn't until he took over the Brisbane Roar and started playing by far the most attractive brand of football we ever saw in the A-League. There were a couple of games where they played, where they won, where pundits were actually going, we've never seen this sort of football in Australia before. This is something straight out of an elite crop. And his efforts with Brisbane Roar took them to another title. And then I guess his most famous achievement, I think we can all agree on, well, for us at least, was winning the Asian Cup with Australia. And that was the first time that had happened for us. And he qualified for the 2018 World Cup. And when he decided to resign 2 weeks after he qualified, that's when we all knew that Ange had something going on. We knew that he resurrected his career to the point where he's like, you know what? I could coach the national team to the World Cup, but, you know, bugger you guys. I'm actually going to go one better. I'm going to go over to Yokohama and I'm going to do exactly what I've done before. I'm going to get a team with pedigree, with fans that are underachieving, and I'm going to bring them back exactly where they need to be. He really knows how to clear out a locker room as well.
So do you think he can get Spurs over the line, though? That's the $1 million question.
It's all leading up to this.
What do we mean here?
Whether he can do it at this scale is still remain to be seen. But at the end of the day, I'm just so proud of the guy, because the guy's copped a lot of flack and adversity. And if I'm allowed to say, a fair bit of secondhand racism in our country as well. And it's really good seeing him on that podium, man. So to see him on that big stage, and let's face it, bro, and I know Will say this as well, to follow up Antonio Conte and Jose Mourinho, could you really pick two more difficult personalities to try and come into the club and try and keep things not only stable and disciplined, but with your own personal twist on it? And that's what he's done. For someone whose most famous name to the rest of the world, not to me in Australia, most famous name to the world was walking the league for Celtic, this guy has come in and proven people that he is deeper than that. Whether or not he's got the caliber to hold it down, because I know the Premier League is the most judgmental league in the world. You really only get one or two slips. But I'm backing him. I'm backing him every step of the way, and I hope that he does well. To see him managing in the Champions League next season would be incredible.
Guni, I ask you a question because I know you have to go. Are you jealous of that appointment of Ange Postecoglou for Spurs?
Not in the slightest, because I don't think he would have had the same effect at Chelsea. I honestly don't, because based on the policy of what we've gone with, because I don't think the crop of players would have changed whatsoever. It still would have been the same players. And I don't think, honestly, man, I'm at a stage where I don't think many managers will come in and do much better than what we're seeing right now. I said this last season, I'm saying the same this season. There's a lot of work that needs to be done with these young crop of players, which is definitely to be expected. When you got young players like that, you're talking, you know, spells of good football, and then you've got the inconsistencies. This is what happens with youth players. So I don't think too much would have been different, if I'm honest.
Listen, I'm going to keep this short. I just want to get Will's opinion. Look, we got 2-3 minutes. Let me just a couple of super chats that I think that are directed to Will. Romero's still better than Saliba. Will is not going to. Guys,
absolutely.
He isn't going to change his mind. He is not going to change his mind until William Saliba wins the league or Romero gets another red card. At that time, he might still not change his mind. Thank you, Fresh, for the super chat. Cyber here is saying there are 11 games in the next 12 weeks, not 5 or 6. So he's going to miss 11 games.
It's 7 for us in December. So I don't know. I'd have to count them. But like I said, I wasn't being specific. But thanks for being pedantic. I enjoy that. I do that myself.
For the support, for the super chat. Last thing, Will, I'm going to give you the last word about Spurs before we end here. Last thing about Spurs. Do you believe that in the next 3 games you can get over this with what you have now, without Romero and without Van de Ven?
Yeah, I do. The City game will be, I think, is the most difficult challenge. I think Wolves wise, especially next week, we've got plenty. There's no injuries in our midfield, no injuries in our front line, and we have more than enough attacking prowess, especially in this Postecoglou system with Ange. But there's no reason why we can't put 3 or 4 goals past Wolves. Will we? Is yet to be seen. But the way that the system works, if the players are doing, I mean, we've seen it. We saw it against Chelsea in the first 10 to 15 minutes. We saw it against multiple teams this season without Richarlison there because he's having surgery, so he's not available. I think we have a really good chance now of putting 3 or 4 past Wolves in the first 15 to 20 minutes. And we defend from the front. That's how the Postecoglou system works. It's the high press in their half. And so if we don't put our back line under pressure, the fact that we are missing people is not going to be as big of a problem as I think people are making it out to be. It is going to put a lot of pressure on the midfield and the front line to do better, to press better, to have more quality in defense in that front. But it can be done. It can be done. And Wolves right now, especially without Neto, are having a hard time scoring goals, and their defense hasn't been great either this season. So that game, I think, I still think we'll win that game. Aston Villa at home has been impenetrable. They've been pounding teams, but away they haven't. They just lost 2-0 to Nottingham Forest. So them coming to our home, again, the same thing. They will score against us most likely in that game. We just have to score more. I think that's what Postecoglou's focus is going to be. The Manchester City game without Romero and Van der Ven, I think will be really, really, really tough, right? The amount of attacking prowess that they have, it's going to be almost impossible to keep them out. I don't think we'll win that one. So I'm thinking minimum of 4 points, probably 6 in the next 3 games. That's what I'm calling for. And if we do that, the worst that can happen is we'll fall 1 point behind Liverpool and Arsenal.
Thank you, everybody that joined us. This has been a short and a sweet show, of course, with Anthony Inter Worldwide, Man Knows Football, Gooney, and Will Stewart, of course, from Tottenham Away. People, their channels are in the description. They're 1 click away from your subscription for them. Thank you for all the people that super chatted me. Anthony Lufer, JJ, of course, Kyriakos, and Enigma, A-Fresh, and Cyber. These are the super chatters. Thank you so much for everybody that joined us. Tomorrow, 1 p.m., I am with Northside for kind of a great show. We're going to preview the Premier League, and you guys are going to enjoy it. Thank you, Will, Gooney, Anthony. Appreciate you guys being here. And guys, we'll see you guys tomorrow, 1 p.m. Thank you so much. 1 p.m. UK time. What out, people? Thank you so much.
Gareth Southgate out.
Rent free.